Afternoon, everybody in the VHR. Sion here, doing our weekly raid update. Want to cover a couple of things on the website. VHR's boss outlines. If you click on it now, it's going to take you to a secondary link to the Dropbox. We created a new folder and got it addressed, and now all of our outlines are available there. I'll also be moving all of the images that I created through the boss blueprints into the folder, probably next to it or relative into it, so that way you can just get everything from one location. That's probably best. That's what I'll do. All right, so another element I want to show is under forearms. I added this thread has been here, but it kind of started off with just kind of discussions between players. So what it is now is the log comment breakdown for player advancement. At any given time that an individual reaches out to me, I'm going to put their name in here, and then this is where we're going to start our correspondence. One of the latest ones, for example, that I did is for Gannicus here. There's a log link where I compared him between a person and another player, and then I did a video down here of it, so that way he can see where his issues are. This is also an image that I ended up making. He was asking how come his barrage wasn't hitting as many targets, so to give him a visual, he's the hunter here pointing in this direction. If he takes a cone approach to the use of it at the point where imps are up, mini bosses up, etc., in conjunction with like rapid fire, for example, or potion ring proc, something like that, you'll just get more damage out and you'll hit more targets. So some examples of some of the materials that we're creating. He's already posted two that he's took an initiative and he's already working through everything. So outstanding, well done. Okay. Next thing I want to point out is, look at us, 19th on the server, right? We've literally jumped 14 spots. No, I'm sorry, 16 spots as far as where we were just a few weeks ago since we entered into heroics, okay? Now, what I see here is this, look at this big old block of success, right? Everybody above us, I'm going to count them as success, right? So right now, we're looking at 17 people, right, that are ahead of where we're at, where we want to be. So I'd like us to set a goal as a team to focus our efforts as far as improving in conquering this material. I'd like us to shoot for at least 12, 13, 13, 13 heroic within the next 2 to 3 weeks. Okay? So let's be realistic about being prepared. Make sure you have your 125 food, runes, the whole 9 yards. Let's be ready, be on time, be out front, and let's get into each one of the opportunities as they come along. Let's get on top of them and knock them down. Okay. Next element I want to point out is we'll look at the logs. The only one that I really want to take a peek at is let's drop it down to just bosses. And then we'll look at damage done, for example. And overall, this is the total amount of damage that everybody hit throughout activity of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 heroic bosses that we ended up taking down. Okay, so make sure that you're checking out where your activity level is. For example, if you're dying a whole bunch, that's going to be a lot lower in that percentage right there. A lot lower in that percentage right there. So we need to get that up no matter what. Let's make sure that we're also paying attention to what we can do when it comes to avoiding damage. For example, if we take a look at damage taken, we have the 2 tanks. There's me sitting pretty up top, so there you go, taking tons of damage that, I'm sure we could sit there and put ourselves in a position to be able to be better at. I mean, we might have this relative chunk here where it's about the same, but the reality is I end up taking quite a bit more overall. And if we can always take that activity level, that total amount of damage being taken, we can always bring it down. So consciously, let's make sure we're paying attention for that. Let's make sure that we're doing what's necessary. Let's talk about debuffs, right? Debuffs and buffs. Boom, boom, boom. Doom, doom, doom. All right, so what we'll do is we'll look at Cormrock, single target, got the hands, right? So we'll look at Gore real quick. Top execution. You're seeing, for example, a number of things involving active abilities are running at high rates of time. As far as stacking too, you see strength potion going off, heroism going off, ring going off. I know we wait a little bit, so of course that's going to happen. But the synergy, recklessness, for example, you want to make sure that you're doing all that you can to keep all of those together in a straight line. The only fight that we had some issues with was on Gorefiend, and the wipes that came from that were really relative to just players needing to learn how to do the fight and do a little bit more research. So once we made that adjustment, we were able to knock down a couple more. We also got Zul'Harrak down, which is a first for us as a guild. Overall, what we end up seeing when we do an analysis of it is we got some great activity levels, and then we had an activity level. I think Saki ended up dying, right? So we got to watch out for that. But the real issue when we want to sit there and make adjustments is under rankings. If you're below 35%, please take the time to find out what you can do to improve the output. You know, just across the board, like tanking. If you're tanking in your bracket, for example, is below 25%, 35%, we need to do an analysis. You need to sit there and either learn how to do it, come to me, we'll do it together, or I can make something for you. But let me know, because I want to try to get everybody to improve as quickly as possible. We have some single digits here, for example. I count, you know, that 10 is a single digit too, right? Anything below 35, right? So we just got to make sure that we're getting the execution that we can, and we're addressing this as quickly as we can, so that way we can continue to improve overall. Okay. Another thing too is on potion use. Make sure that we're hitting up potions. Oh, never mind. Everybody's doing a great job at that. There we go. Super duper. We got some 2s here across the board. Just make sure that you can use them as quickly as you can, as often as you can, and of course stacking them with your cooldowns and ring if possible. Damage taken, we just got to watch, you know, for what's going on involving avoidable damage. The big thing was like a blaze. That's the debuff. Fell Singe and Wasting Void, it's the same thing. Basically, that what this means here is that you're standing in fire. You're standing in green fire, you're standing in purple fire, you know, so avoid it. Overwhelming Chaos. One of the elements that I want to talk about, Overwhelming Chaos. Overwhelming Chaos, it will explode from the point where the purple flame and the green flame make contact. Now, the green could be on the ground, and the individual could be carrying purple through it, and at the point where they walk into it, it's going to be where the explosion comes from. So what you need to make sure that you're looking at is that your 20 yards circumference, we have to make sure that, like, if we say we're going to blow up the green on the left, everybody needs to make a conscious effort to move a little bit to the right. And then on top of that too, the individual, when they're trying to approach the fire, needs to try to minimize the explosion into the pile of fire to clear as much as possible, and to also make sure that they keep it as best they can off the group as a whole. And another thing too is, for standard from now on Zul'Farrak, is that we will always be trying to keep control of the fire throughout the entire thing, regardless of the DPS that will be lost from doing it. And then as far as each class, if you could take the time to identify what it is that you do that can also help with distribution of the fire, would be outstanding. And everyone just kind of needs to figure out their way to do it, so that way we have it available, because we won't have 2 awesome rogues, you know, taking care of it the whole time like we did, you know, last night. So make sure that we're taking the time to figure that out as quickly as possible. Shadowfell Annihilation is the triggered effect of it. Now, you will take 20,000 when it goes off if they're within the 20 yards. But from that point on, everyone's going to take 23,000 to 26,000 damage. Anyone within 20 yards is going to take 161,000 to 188,000, and then it puts a 100% debuff on you. It's down to 60 seconds now in Heroic. If anybody explodes again within it, so you take 100% times 161, so you'll take 320,000 damage if you get it again within the time that you have the debuff. So you have to make sure that this is the big one to pay attention for, and that's why I was saying, as far as the explosions, we do those as we can. Overall, that's everything. I appreciate you taking the time watching the video. If you get a chance to, please click like. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. I'll continue to put out material and assessments at any given point. I hope you appreciated the video again, and I'll see you tonight for the raid, okay?